3 Supreme Court judges will now investigate the allegation that a young lawyer was sexually harassed by an apex court judge during the time she interned with him. The young lawyer waited for several months before she wrote about her experience. She explains the delay in her blog and her eventual decision to go public, saying her reluctance to wage a legal battle against the judge had left her feeling cowardly.
An alleged victim finally speaking up in her blog about being sexually assaulted by a reputed Supreme Court judge 11 months ago. It's got the entire Judicial Committee to sit up and take notice, and the Chief Justice of India has set up a 3-judge panel to probe the allegations after the AG brought it before the court, saying, "As the head of the institution, I am also concerned about the allegation and anxious whether the statement is true or not."
The Supreme Court of India is seriously concerned about the allegations made by a law graduate who interned with a Supreme Court judge last December.
In her blog, she writes, "For my supposed diligence, I was rewarded with sexual assault, not physically injurious, but nevertheless violating, from a man old enough to be my grandfather." She explains her silence so far as cowardice in the face of going into legal battle with a senior Supreme Court judge. She said, "It is often one person's word against another, a young lawyer against a senior advocate. There is an imbalance of power going on here." She says in her blog that she felt she should now speak up to prevent a repeat with other girls.
In the legal profession, sexual harassment of women lawyers, particularly young women lawyers, is rampant. What the Supreme Court said only a few months ago when it constituted a committee for the Supreme Court. Very clearly, the idea is that there must be representation in that committee from all the segments, including, say, lawyers or young lawyers or advocates on record, etc. And very, very significantly from Vishakha onwards, that there must be an external member, and that when you cannot sit upon judgment of yourself, it's a well-known principle in law. So it is a little puzzling, although I think the Supreme Court has set this up as a panel and not necessarily as a committee, because today there is no actual complaint of sexual harassment.
But if there is truth in her allegation, then the Supreme Court has today shown a shining example of an institution which is not willing to look within itself.
After framing the guidelines for sexual harassment in the workplace in the Vishakha case, the Supreme Court has now got a complaint against one of its own, and the entire community is now waiting for the probe panel's report, expected in 2 weeks. With Ketki Angre in New Delhi, Anusya Mathur for NDTV.